Mara woke to the harsh hum of the orbital training facility. The artificial lights above glowed bright white, casting long shadows across the sleek metallic floors. Today was unlike any other day. Today she would face the Navy SEALs, not in a field exercise, but in a high-tech simulation designed to test every limit of human ability. Her stomach tightened with tension, but she refused to show it. Humans had survived the impossible for centuries. She would not be the one to falter. The facility's central hall was buzzing with activity. Aliens and humans moved in synchronized patterns, checking weapons, monitors, and armor. A massive screen displayed the mission objectives: zero-gravity combat, environmental hazards, and advanced AI opponents. The SEALs, elite soldiers handpicked from Earth's most dangerous missions, were already there, stretching and preparing. They glanced at Mara with a mix of curiosity and doubt. "Are you ready for this?" one of them asked, a tall man with a graying beard. His tone carried both challenge and disbelief. Mara only nodded. Words were unnecessary. Her focus was on the training ahead. She had been preparing for months, not just physically, but mentally. Her mind was a battlefield where determination had sharpened every thought. She had studied their tactics, observed their strengths, and noted their weaknesses. She had learned to use her environment, her instincts, and her creativity to survive. The first test began in a zero-gravity chamber. Walls and floors were indistinguishable. Mara floated with precision, using small thrusters on her suit to navigate. The SEALs moved swiftly, their movements fluid, almost perfect. They attacked in formation, expecting her to falter, expecting her to panic. But Mara had anticipated this. Instead of meeting them head-on, she twisted her body mid-air, sliding past their strikes using momentum to redirect their force. When one SEAL lunged at her with a plasma baton, she grabbed it mid-swing, twisting and disarming him with a flick of her wrist. The others hesitated for a split second, long enough for Mara to push off the wall and land behind them. Her eyes burned with determination. The aliens observing the exercise murmured among themselves. Humans were already known for their ingenuity, but Mara's performance was exceptional. Every movement, every decision was precise yet unpredictable. She was not relying on strength alone. She was using her mind, her instincts, and a strange, stubborn resilience that no AI could calculate. Next came the environmental challenge. The room transformed into a desert landscape. Heat waves shimmered in the artificial sunlight. Mara's armor adapted to the conditions, but the SEALs were sweating, their endurance being tested. Sandstorms whipped around them, and holographic enemies appeared from every direction. The SEALs split into teams, advancing methodically. Mara crouched behind a rocky outcrop, observing their strategy. She could see the patterns, the pauses, the overconfidence. When one SEAL advanced too quickly, she triggered a small drone, sending a pulse that knocked him off balance. Another charged at her, but she sidestepped and used his momentum to send him sprawling. Her body ached. Her lungs burned. Her arms felt heavy. Every nerve in her body screamed for rest. Yet she pushed on. Humans were creatures of endurance, of adaptability. Pain was not a limit, it was a signal to adapt. Every fall, every hit, every obstacle made her stronger. By the time the AI combatants entered the field, Mara was ready. These were machines designed to learn, to predict, to overwhelm. Many human soldiers would have panicked. Many would have fallen into predictable traps. Mara moved with calm precision, observing their algorithms, anticipating their attacks, and finding gaps. A strike here, a dodge there, and she was slowly dismantling the AI formation. The SEALs tried to coordinate against her, but Mara had already disrupted their rhythm. She was faster, smarter, and unpredictable. One by one, she outmaneuvered them, not with brute force alone, but with clever tactics. She used their own formations against them, luring them into traps she had improvised in seconds. The colonel, a stern veteran who had trained countless warriors across galaxies, watched from above. He had seen many exceptional humans, but Mara was different. Her mind, her courage, her refusal to give in even when exhausted, it stirred something deep inside him. He had trained soldiers to perfection, but few had the spirit to surpass it. Mara did. The final scenario in Part 1 was the most dangerous, a close-quarters confrontation in a narrow corridor. Sensors blinked red, signaling that the SEALs had activated full combat mode. They were determined to end this exercise with a decisive victory. Mara entered the corridor alone, knowing the odds. The first SEAL lunged, aiming for her side. Mara ducked, rolled, and used his momentum to slide him past her. The second struck from behind, but she anticipated the angle, pivoting to avoid the strike while grabbing his arm and flipping him over. Each movement was precise, calculated, yet fluid, almost like a dance. Her body screamed in protest. Bruises were forming and sweat poured down her face, but the human will to survive, to adapt, to overcome, pushed her forward. Every seal she faced expected her to weaken. Every strike they delivered was meant to break her. Yet Mara endured. Finally, she reached the end of the corridor. The seals were behind her, exhausted, frustrated, and astonished. Mara stood tall, breathing heavily, yet her eyes were clear and focused. She had been pushed past her breaking point. Every muscle ached, every nerve screamed. But she had triumphed. Not through sheer strength, but through persistence, intelligence, and an unyielding spirit. The colonel stepped forward from his observation post. He was silent for a moment, simply watching her. Then he nodded slowly. Mara had done something extraordinary. She had reminded him, and perhaps everyone watching, why humans were different. It was not their technology, not their training, not even their weapons. It was their spirit, the ability to endure, to adapt, to defy expectations even when all seemed lost. The seals, exhausted and humbled, approached Mara. There was no mockery in their eyes, only respect. She had proven herself not just as a soldier, but as a human capable of extraordinary feats. As the room cleared, Mara took a deep breath and looked at the stars through the large observation window. Beyond the orbital facility, the galaxy stretched endlessly, dangerous, unpredictable, yet full of opportunity. She had faced her limits today and surpassed them. She knew there would be more challenges, more enemies, more tests. But for the first time in her life, Mara felt the quiet, powerful certainty that humans could face anything, if they had the courage to try. And somewhere in the back of her mind, she felt it, the spark that would carry her through the next challenge, the spark that even the colonel had noticed, the spark that reminded all who watched that human determination could stir the souls of even the most hardened warriors. The facility was quiet the next morning, but the tension in the air was different. The seals were moving with a mixture of respect and frustration. They had been bested by Mara, and that fact weighed on them. Mara, however, had no time to dwell. The colonel had requested a private briefing, and she knew this was the next test, not of strength, but of strategy, leadership, and human spirit. The colonel was waiting in a room with a wide observation window that overlooked the orbital training decks. His eyes, sharp and calculating, softened when they met hers. "Mara," he began, his voice steady, "what you did yesterday was remarkable, but now we need to see how you lead, how you inspire, and how you adapt when the stakes are real." Mara nodded. She had prepared for physical challenges, but leadership was different. It required intuition, empathy, and the ability to make split-second decisions that affected more than just herself. She was ready. The first exercise began immediately. She was assigned a mixed squad, humans and aliens together, tasked with capturing a high-value target in a simulated city under siege. The aliens were cautious, observing her every move. Some doubted that a human could command them effectively, despite her recent triumph over the seals. Mara felt the skepticism, but it fueled her determination rather than deterring her. She gathered her squad and outlined the plan clearly and calmly. She spoke with authority but also listened to their ideas. When the aliens suggested a different route, she considered it, adjusted the plan, and incorporated their input. Her team felt seen, respected, and motivated. Humans were not only capable fighters, they could inspire others to act with precision and courage. The operation began. The simulated city was chaotic. Smoke rose from collapsed buildings. Alarms blared and holographic civilians moved through the streets. The squad advanced carefully, Mara leading from the front but always aware of her team's safety. The aliens tried to flank the target from one side, while Mara noticed a potential trap from the other. She signaled quickly, redirecting the team to a safer path. A SEAL trainee who had once mocked her fell into the trap, but she grabbed him, pulling him out just in time. Her mind worked faster than the simulation could anticipate, her instincts guiding her every decision. When they reached the target, it was heavily guarded. Mara coordinated a simultaneous strike, combining human ingenuity with alien technology. The target was neutralized, and the team secured the area without a single casualty. Her leadership had turned a potentially disastrous mission into a flawless victory. After the simulation, the colonel approached her again. "Mara," he said, "you have shown that humans are not just resilient, they are capable of inspiring greatness. I've spent decades commanding the best, but rarely have I seen this combination of courage, intelligence, and empathy. You've reminded me why humanity matters." Mara felt a quiet pride but no arrogance. Her strength was not about ego. It was about proving that humans, with their adaptability and spirit, could face any challenge. She had been pushed past her breaking point before, and now she was learning to lift others with her strength. The next exercise was even more demanding. The simulation projected a disaster scenario on a distant colony. An alien virus had infected the population, and Mara's team was tasked with evacuating civilians while preventing the spread. The environment was hazardous, collapsing buildings, fires, and unpredictable AI enemies. Mara led her team through the chaos. She carried a small alien child to safety, then coordinated with her squad to secure escape routes. Every decision required split-second judgment: which path was safest, which threat needed immediate attention, and how to keep her team coordinated. Her human intuition and quick thinking saved lives. When a building began to collapse, she spotted a weak support beam and signaled her team to reroute. The aliens, impressed by her decisiveness, began following her example. Her influence was clear. Humans could lead not only with skill but with courage that inspired others to act. During the final moments of the exercise, Mara faced a simulated SEAL ambush. The AI had learned from her previous encounters and was adapting rapidly. The SEALs charged with precision, expecting her to falter. But Mara remained calm. She assessed their patterns, predicted their moves, and countered with creativity. Using the environment to her advantage, she diverted the attackers into traps she had set moments before. When the dust settled, Mara's team had not only completed the mission, but had done so with exceptional efficiency. The aliens and humans alike looked at her with awe. She had proven that human resilience, intelligence, and leadership could outperform even the most elite soldiers in unexpected ways. The colonel, who had been observing the entire exercise, walked toward her. He paused for a moment, his face thoughtful. "Mara," he said softly, "you have reminded me that humans possess something more than training or technology. You have reminded me that the human spirit, the courage to persevere, to adapt, to protect others, is unmatched. Your triumph over the SEALs was only the beginning. Today, you've shown that humans can lead, inspire, and change the course of events." Mara's heart swelled, not with pride, but with understanding. The challenges she had faced were not just tests of strength, they were lessons in leadership, resilience, and human potential. Every bruise, every moment of doubt, every second of exhaustion had brought her here. Humans were capable of more than anyone had imagined, and she was living proof. In the days that followed, Mara continued to participate in high-level training exercises, each more complex than the last. She coordinated joint human-alien operations, resolved conflicts in simulations, and devised strategies that even the AI could not predict. Her influence began to extend beyond the training facility. The colonel, inspired by her achievements, started advocating for the inclusion of humans in interstellar defense councils, arguing that their spirit and creativity were indispensable. Mara, however, remained grounded. She trained not for recognition, but for the opportunity to test human potential and to push herself and others beyond limits. Each challenge reminded her that humans were capable of extraordinary things, and that the courage to face the impossible was the true measure of strength. One evening, as the artificial sun set over the orbital facility, Mara stood on the observation deck. She looked at the galaxy, vast and full of unknown dangers and opportunities. Her body ached from the day's exercises, but her mind was sharp, her spirit unbroken. She had been pushed past her breaking point, yet she had emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. The colonel joined her silently, his presence a quiet acknowledgement of her journey. "You've changed my perspective, Mara," he said. "You've reminded me why humans are remarkable, not because of their technology or weapons, but because of their spirit, their determination, their courage. You've shown me that the human soul can stir even the hardest hearts." Mara smiled faintly. She had never sought to impress the colonel or anyone else. She had simply faced the challenges in front of her, relied on her instincts, and trusted her human spirit. Yet here she was, proof that humans, when pushed to their limits, could inspire, lead, and triumph in ways that no one, not even the most elite warriors, could predict. As the stars twinkled in the distance, Mara felt a quiet resolve. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers, but also full of opportunities. She had faced the impossible, endured the pain, and emerged victorious. Humans were capable of incredible things, and she would continue to prove it, not for glory, but because it was who she was. And somewhere deep in her heart, Mara knew this was only the beginning. The challenges ahead would be greater, the enemies more cunning, but she would face them. She had been pushed past her breaking point, and she had triumphed. Humanity, she realized, was not defined by its limitations, but by its courage, ingenuity, and unyielding spirit. And as long as humans had that spirit, they could overcome anything, even the most elite warriors in the galaxy. Mara turned from the observation window, ready for whatever the future held. The colonel watched her go, a rare smile on his face. He had witnessed something extraordinary. A single human facing impossible odds had reminded him, and everyone watching, that humanity's greatest weapon was not in its technology, its training, or its strength. It was in its soul, and Mara, standing tall amidst the stars, embodied that truth.